Our story begins with a young man who could have been strong on his own, yet despite having many combat professions available, he chose the most ordinary path, the summoner. He had hoped to summon a supreme being to sweep away all opposition, but he never expected that his very first summon would be nothing more than a lowly little black dog. Even his homeroom teacher, Lu Won, who once held high hopes for him, now curses him in anger. The teacher feels his efforts were wasted, as a summoner is entirely dependent on their creature. To the world, he is now essentially useless. And yet, he has no intention of giving up. After all, if he can just get into the academy and grow slowly, there will be a chance for a second summoning later, a chance to prove that one shouldn't look down on a youth in his lean years. Looking at the well-behaved pup on the ground, his earlier sense of loss begins to fade. He gently pats the small head, and at that moment, a contract notification echoes in his mind. The loyalty is absolute. It will never betray him. He is asked if he wishes to establish a life bond, and without a second thought, he chooses to try. Amidst a soul-tearing pain, he collapses to the ground screaming, while the students around him assume he simply can't handle the disappointment and begin to mock him. His girlfriend, the school beauty Lu Ruyan, approaches with a hint of feigned apology, explaining that the college entrance exam is far too important for an ordinary person like her. As it turns out, the Lancer Lu Liang has already agreed to team up with her, so she won't be joining him. When he gives a simple no problem in response, the further explanations she had prepared are cut short. A sudden wave of feeling undervalued rises within her heart, and with a cold snort, she turns to leave without a shred of pity. She tells herself he must be pretending not to care. Her friends chime in, telling Ruyan she did nothing wrong and shouldn't be so humble towards someone like him. After all, his combat power is hardly worthy of a beauty like her. However, he isn't paying them any attention at all. As the life bond completes, he discovers to his shock that the little dog has awakened an SSS rank talent, greedy gluttony. It can turn anything it eats into pure energy, allowing for growth and evolution that ignores all limits. It seems the pain was not for nothing. SSS rank talents are incredibly rare, and anyone who possesses one is treated with the utmost importance. The state would even provide personal guardians, but upon closer reflection, things seem a bit complicated. He'll have to manage its every need as it transforms. As it turns out, he is the one who truly benefits from this bond. It seems he won't escape the fate of working hard for his pet, so he decides to give it a name. He names the pup Hei Ming. After tossing the last piece of meat to the little dog, he notices something quite remarkable. The puppy's attributes are slowly increasing. In just a few moments, every basic stat has risen by a point. This discovery leaves him secretly stunned, and who could blame him, really? He realizes that if he provides high-energy food, the growth would be explosive. Suddenly, a warm current surges through his own body as well. His own strength increases slightly in that moment. It appears that a portion of the energy gained by the summoned creature is actually shared back with the summoner. We see that as long as he feeds it enough, both master and beast can grow stronger together. Upon returning home, his mother asks what profession he obtained during today's awakening ceremony. While eating his dinner, he calmly replies that he is now a summoner. The next moment, his younger sister, Chun-Li, lets out a cry of pure joy, exclaiming how amazing it is that he got a combat class. She begs to see his summon with eyes full of excitement. Not wanting to dampen her spirits, he simply points toward Hei Ming standing behind him. Her excitement comes to a sudden, screeching halt as she stares at the tiny creature. She wonders aloud why it's so small, picking Hei Ming up to play with him until the poor pup lowers his head with a dejected whimper. After dinner, while he is busy clearing the table, his mother suddenly approaches him with a serious expression. She pulls out a bank card, mentioning she heard the exam requirements for Jin Ming have been raised again. To be honest, the pressure is clearly getting to her. She tells him there are 35,000 yuan on the card for him to buy supplies for the exam, offering to borrow more if it isn't enough. He knows this card holds every cent of the family's savings. His mother's love is absolute, and she protects him without reservation, terrified that he might fall behind during the college entrance exams. At this stage, he truly does need this money as capital for his development. He accepts the card without unnecessary politeness, thanking her and assuring her it will be enough. He knows he must improve his strength before the exams begin, or he won't stand a chance at any academy. He also remembers that a top 10 finish comes with a significant cash prize. If he wins it, his mother won't have to work so hard anymore. With the card in hand, he heads straight to a restaurant run by lifestyle professionals. There, he buys over 100 pounds of cheap lean meat and feeds every bit of it to Hei Ming. The pup tears into the food as if he can never be truly full, and we see his attributes slowly begin to increase. Through the feedback loop, our protagonist's strength grows too, and soon Hei Ming's evolution bar is full. He chooses to evolve the creature immediately, revealing new stats that show not only 2 awakened skills, but also 4-dimensional attributes reaching over 50 points. His appearance changes slightly as well. It seems that high-energy lean meat really does have a significant effect. His own attributes rise by 10 points each, making this duo a formidable force. After a night of rest, he rushes to the exam center early the next morning. Once his information is verified, he arrives at the designated area for number 2 high school. This college entrance exam pits several top-tier schools against each other. The competition is at an absolute maximum. Lu Liang, who was so arrogant yesterday about carrying Lu Ruyan, is now drenched in sweat. It turns out his father used his connections to learn that this year's student quality is exceptionally high. He mocks our protagonist, asking why he even showed up instead of giving up like the lifestyle classes. He suggests it's better to quit than lose face, because if you never compete, you can pretend you never lost. Many surrounding students are amused by this, but he simply glances at Lu Liang and chooses to ignore him. As a bell tolls, for massive bronze gates open simultaneously. From the narrow gaps of the doors, there instantly surges a wave of ghostly, cold air. Without hesitation, the students begin checking the details of the dungeons they must enter. Some wonder why number 2 high was assigned the difficult bone-bearing forest. It is, after all, one of the dungeons with the highest failure rates. Panic begins to spread among the ranks. A teacher reminds them that all dungeons are difficult and the exam is fair, so there is no use complaining. They are told to recall everything they learned about monster habits and how to adapt their attacks to the environment. Devices to record their exam scores are distributed, and as the bell rings once more, the exam officially begins. A young girl with ice blue hair and white armor is the first to step forward and enter the dungeon. We see Su Lingxue, a senior from high school number 3, surprisingly choosing to enter the dungeon all alone. As a long-range mage without a frontline protector, one wonders if she'll be alright. But then again, she possesses 5 initial skills. Is she the next superstar? As she and other elite students enter, our protagonist follows suit, deciding to go solo as well. Once every student has vanished into the gates, a teacher waves a hand, and suddenly, massive water curtains appear. These screens begin projecting real-time footage from inside, but a sudden flash of white light signals a student has already forfeited. It turns out to be a candidate from high school number 2. Naturally, the teachers from that school can only look away in silence. The bone-bearing forest is quite different from other dungeons. It demands an extreme level of caution and mental fortitude. Students with weaker nerves simply cannot endure it. Meanwhile, the various class teachers are busy searching the screens for their pupils. When the principal spots a lone boy on the screen, his face fills with genuine confusion. To be honest, he didn't expect this. He wonders if high school number 2 truly has such an elite student. Wait, he realizes, isn't this one of your students, Luwen? Luwen is at a loss for words. He knew the boy's start was disastrous, so why didn't he join a team to secure a passing score? Luwen feels a massive headache coming on. The principal scolds him, asking how he could possibly teach a student to be this reckless. Entering a dungeon solo with that level of strength is dangerous. If anything goes wrong, Luwen will certainly be held responsible. It seems like something Luwen would do, but now, we can only hope our protagonist, Tiansheng, performs at his absolute best. Unfortunately, trouble arrives quickly. Through the water curtain, we can clearly see a deep green serpent-like creature lurking above him. It is coiled and ready to strike. Upon entering, Tiansheng is greeted by the sight of damp, decaying remains scattered everywhere. The light in the forest is poor, and suddenly, the sound of something dropping through the mist echoes. He doesn't hesitate for a second. With his left hand, he summons a staff over a meter long, which instantly transforms into a sharp, gleaming longsword. He swings backward in a swift, fluid motion, a flash of white light slicing clean through the body of the green creature. The kill is incredibly fast and professional. For defeating the dog-toothed worm, he earns 5 points of experience. Not a bad start. Immediately after, the timer displays a score increase of 15 points. It seems he hasn't forgotten the feeling of holding a blade. In his past life, he spent countless hours with his sword, drawing it millions of times. It was a simple life, but his techniques remain sharp. Wait, isn't he supposed to be a summoner? That reaction speed is something we'd only expect from a high agility specialist. However, relying solely on agility to reach the 500-point threshold is unrealistic. Luwen simply cannot understand how Tianxing changed so much. In just one day, he has become a different person. After killing the green serpent, he begins heading toward the heart of the forest. Suddenly, a massive commotion erupts ahead. It sounds as if countless creatures are rushing toward his position all at once. Then, one by one, small, ugly, green-skinned creatures emerge from the shadows. We are looking at a pack of goblins. He recognizes them instantly from his textbooks. Vicious creatures that love to breed and will even resort to cannibalism when food is scarce. There are 50 or 60 of them. If they swarm him all at once, he will certainly be doomed. To be honest, the odds look terrible. He immediately calls for Hei Ming. With a long, piercing howl, the wolf's cold eyes lock onto the charging goblin horde. Sensing the malice of the creatures before him, Hei Ming lunges forward like a sharpened arrow, cutting through the air. The front row of goblins is instantly crushed, their skulls shattered, while the second row is scattered in complete disarray. The goblins quickly draw their weapons to fight back, but they soon realize their usual tactics are completely useless here. Every time a weapon strikes Hei Ming's back, it simply snaps with a loud crack. His hide is far tougher than they expected. Hei Ming's claws tear through their heads with terrifying speed, while Tianxing stands nearby, keeping a watchful eye on the perimeter. As the goblins fall one by one, even these low-intelligence monsters begin to feel an instinctive terror and start to flee in panic. He orders He Ming to continue the pursuit while he personally moves to strike down the nearest fleeing goblin. They are destined to become nothing more than nourishment for He Ming. Outside, the observers notice he has been surrounded. The sight draws many eyes, and most assume this student is about to be eliminated. But then, the unexpected happens. Instead of a defeat, we see the man and beast scattering the goblin horde. The principal, meanwhile, is starting to feel a different kind of heat. The principal demands to know how the academy evaluated their strength, as the average level of these students seems to be failing expectations. He asks for an explanation of what true strength is, while Lu Wen's head is spinning. This is nothing like the tiny puppy from yesterday. There is only one possible explanation for this situation. Our young student's growth talent must be incredibly powerful. The principal is suddenly overcome with excitement, wondering if the school has finally produced a genius capable of representing them. He orders a status check. The teacher nearby checks the scoring device and reports that his current score has already reached 560 points. He has already taken the top spot in the entire school. Lu Wen, for his part, is feeling a dizzying sense of unreality. His own student has been inside for less than half an hour and is already ranked first. Meanwhile, we see Tianxing wiping the blood from his blade. Several orbs of light rise from the goblin corpses and merge into his body, causing his level to rise directly to level 2. However, his spirit attribute only increases by 5 points. This, unfortunately, is the inherent disadvantage of a common class. A rare or legendary class might have gained 10 points, and that gap will only widen over time. To be honest, it's a bit discouraging. But when he remembers he can rely on He Ming's growth to compensate, he feels much better. Once the wolf finishes devouring the remains, it's time to move. He calls the wolf over to prepare for something big. The real hunt is only just beginning, as goblins are a social species. Since a scouting party was here, their main nest must be nearby. However, after walking for 10 minutes, they find absolutely nothing. Just as the silence becomes suspicious, several bone spears are suddenly launched from the distance. A perfectly ordinary ambush, it seems. The once quiet forest begins to shake as goblins swarm out from every direction, howling and waving their weapons as they charge. His longsword instantly appears to deflect the spears. With a quick sidestep, he moves with a grace that defies his class. In a flash, he decapitates one goblin while a powerful kick sends another flying, knocking down several more in the process. He Ming dives into the goblin army at the same time, beginning a brutal feast. As the pile of corpses grows, the situation shifts. Suddenly, a dozen goblins of different colors emerge from the rear. Outside, the teachers watching the water screen are breaking into a cold sweat. Flame goblins and ice goblins have appeared. We can only hope he doesn't plan on staying in their line of fire for long. We see the tension rising, but it soon becomes clear that worrying was quite unnecessary, even after noticing their different skin colors. A sense of urgency fills the air as the goblins find their focus, no longer attacking in a chaotic, disorganized mess. As the flame goblins ring their bells, fist-sized fireballs begin shooting toward our young hero from every direction. He dodges them with a few quick movements, reaching out to seize a goblin by the neck, while the creature stares back in pure terror. He hurls the creature into the air toward the incoming fireballs, effectively turning himself into a living goblin launcher. One by one, he throws the goblins like cannonballs at the flame goblins, a sight that leaves every watching student completely stunned. Even Lu Wen, the homeroom teacher, is left blinking in confusion at the speed of it all. To be honest, this is quite impressive. This particular combat method certainly wasn't in the curriculum. Meanwhile, the flame goblins are being knocked dizzy by their own kin. If they cast spells, they hit their friends. If they don't, they die. Amidst this chaos, He Ming has already circled around. The wolf picks them off one by one until, out of 100 goblins, only a lonely few remain to flee for their lives. This time, however, Tianxing doesn't finish them off. He follows from a distance, intending to destroy their entire nest in one go. As the goblins duck into a dark cavern, he pauses for a moment of reflection before following them inside. It is pitch black, making it impossible to see the ground where he occasionally steps on the skeletal remains of past meals. Suddenly, several small shadows lunge at him. He instinctively draws his blade and strikes, slicing the goblins in half before they hit the ground. He Ming swallows 2 more nearby. Suddenly, light flickers around the corner of the tunnel, and the path ahead grows much brighter. Once he sees what lies ahead, his expression changes instantly, and he retreats. Countless hideous figures are crawling across the cavern ceiling. They snarl and gnash their teeth, staring down at him. In the next heartbeat, they rain down like a torrential storm. He quickly activates his summit skill, Gigantification. He Ming's size immediately swells until he stands 4 meters tall. The massive wolf charges forward, plowing through the goblins as a literal rain of monsters begins to fall all around them. He Ming takes advantage of their stunned state upon landing, and Tianxing moves in perfect sync with his giant companion's assault. They begin clearing the area, pushing forward quite a distance until suddenly, a massive, bone-chilling roar echoes through the cavern. A hideous beast, as large as a small building, slowly pokes its head out. Seeing that the goblins who forage for its food are nearly wiped out, Its eyes instantly turn blood red with rage. As a foul wind blows toward him, Tianxing uses his skills to check the creature's attributes. It turns out to be a berserk troll. Before he can even process this, the beast charges, making the entire cave feel as though the very earth is trembling. However, even when facing this terrifying troll, He Ming charges forward without a single trace of fear. Without a moment's hesitation, the wolf's sharp claws strike the troll first, yet they only leave 4 shallow, bloody scratches behind. The troll roars, instantly entering a frenzy as it grabs He Ming by the head and slams him violently against the rock wall. At the same time, its massive body crashes down. Seeing He Ming pinned, Tianxing quickly activates his summoner's talent skills. A summoner possesses 3 core skills: beast strengthening, beast recovery, and beast summoning. To be honest, he's going to need them all. He hadn't encountered an opponent this strong before, so he's pulling out all the stops. The moment the strengthening skill takes effect, He Ming finds the strength to flip the troll onto the ground. During this desperate struggle, Tianxing continuously casts recovery spells, while swinging his blade with all his might. Finally, he wears the troll's health down to just a few hundred points. Nearby, some other students have heard the commotion. Since forest bosses are at least level 12, they wonder which team could possibly possess such incredible combat power. A 3-person team led by Wen Sun approaches, hoping to help out while also getting a share of the loot. But when they arrive at the scene, they stand frozen in disbelief, because the one fighting the boss isn't an entire elite squad, it is just one man. In that moment, Tianxing delivers the final blow with his cane sword, and the troll's health bar drops from 1 to 0. The sword in his hand clearly marks his identity as a summoner, yet the surrounding students are too intimidated to interfere. Lu Liang and Lu Ruyan are among the crowd, staring ahead with their mouths wide open. They can't believe that little black dog transformed into this in a single day. Just then, a 4-person team from the elite class walks over, led by Zhao Huiyang. He remarks that he didn't expect the school to have someone like Tianxing, noting that the summon looks badly injured. Zhao Huiyang offers their help, mentioning they have a high-output priest in their team. But just as the words leave his mouth, the cute girl behind him gives him a sharp kick. Tianxing simply smiles and declines the offer. To be honest, he has things under control. As the group prepares to leave, they catch a glimpse of the score tracker in Tianxing's hand, which reads 5,320 points. Zhao Huiyang nearly loses his composure and curses in shock. At that moment, a blushing Lu Ruyan approaches Tianxing with a strange expression. However, before she can get close, He Ming's blood-red eyes fix her with a cold, predatory stare. Suddenly, Lu Ruyan feels as though she's plunged into ice. Her legs go weak and she looks at him with a pitiful, trembling gaze. Tianxing, however, doesn't even bother to turn around and look at her. He heads back into the cave, letting He Ming continue to consume the remains to strengthen himself. Once every monster in the vicinity has been devoured by He Ming, a layer of energy wraps around the wolf. It seems this evolution will be far more significant than the last one. We can only wonder what kind of combat power he will possess once he emerges. A short while later, a pair of sharp claws suddenly tear through the light. He Ming steps out, his body having grown even larger, his jet black fur now shimmering with a brand new luster. Even his pupils have shifted into a deep, piercing crimson. Simultaneously, Tianxing receives a notification. His summon has gained a new skill called Deterrence, along with a new talent, Flame Shroud. Seeing such a terrifying boost in power, Tianxing is secretly amazed. He quickly opens the status panel and sees that He Ming's base attributes have all exceeded 100. At this rate, riding him as a mount would probably feel like traveling at 280 kilometers per hour. Suddenly, a broadcast echoes through the dungeon. With only 1 hour left in the exam, everyone is urged to make their final sprint. Hearing this, Tianxing immediately mounts He Ming and heads straight for the territory of the Twisted Tree King. This creature is the absolute ceiling of the bone-burying forest, a top-tier boss among all pre-class advancement lords. Back at the monitoring station, the elite class teacher says with concern that this might be too risky. This boss is far stronger than the troll in every single aspect. Even the principal frowns, feeling the weight of the moment. He notes that while the black dog's size and strength have clearly exploded, taking down the Twisted Tree King might still be a bit of a stretch. However, the fact that Tianxing dares to go there suggests he has a plan. The class teacher agrees. Looking at the screen, we see the principal sighing as he notes Su Lingshue's terrifying score, wishing Tianxing could somehow surpass her. But hope is fading fast. With her sitting at over 7,000 points, the gap is simply too wide. And besides, a single skill from her can wipe out an entire wave of monsters. After a heavy sigh, the class teacher refocuses. On the monitor, we return to Tianxing as he steps into the Trent's territory, where massive trees suddenly begin to awaken. They open their crimson eyes, and moments later, a branch lunges toward his face. He quickly draws the sword from his staff, delivering 5 rapid slashes. The trunk is severed instantly, losing all signs of life. The Trent's agonizing shrieks echo nearby. Tianxing fixes his gaze on the creature and charges forward, using his blade to pierce directly into its mouth, forcefully driving the entire length of the sword inside. However, the Trent merely widens its eyes in what looks like pure shock, refusing to die. This certainly challenges what he thought he knew. The vitality of an 8th level monster is truly remarkable. Without pausing, he begins to twist the hilt while the blade is still. Deep inside the creature, green sap sprays from the Trent's mouth as it watches in sheer terror while the blade tears through its core, splitting it in two. Finally, the massive tree collapses. Seeing their kin's brutal death, the surrounding treants howl and rush forward, determined to surround this unknown intruder. Their roars awaken even more sleeping treants, and in the distance, we see even larger and sturdier beings beginning to approach. Knowing the stakes, Tianxing immediately commands He Ming to unleash his flames. As purple fire erupts from He Ming's body, the wolf charges straight into the cluster of treants. The moment he touches the group, a terrifying reaction occurs. The purple flames instantly ignite the Trent's leaves and branches. The fire spreads rapidly across their trunks, and no matter how much they struggle, the flames refuse to go out, only growing larger. Tianxing is secretly amazed. It seems He Ming's mutated fire is the ultimate natural enemy of these treants. Meanwhile, the wolf is busy tearing into them with a ferocity they cannot match. The treants are so busy struggling with the flames that they can't fight back, and soon, every creature within 100 meters is ablaze. As they burn, their essence transforms into pure energy that flows into Tianxing, causing him to level up on the spot, while He Ming's attributes rise again. The purple flames consume the treants, and then, carrying their stolen energy, return to He Ming's body like a swarm of small, fiery snakes. It seems the burning process continuously refines the targets into energy to strengthen the source. This is quite a convenient development, to be honest. He Ming can now skip the tedious step of eating monster corpses entirely. Once the surrounding treants are wiped out, Tianxing checks his score, 7,120 points. He is still a bit short of the scholarship. Suddenly, the ground begins to tremble as a massive silhouette approaches rapidly. Sensing immediate danger, Tianxing instinctively retreats several steps. Just in time, too, as several thick branches burst from the earth to crush him. At the same moment, a furious roar echoes from the shadows. Hundreds of treants emerge from the forest, their eyes fixed deathly upon him. And behind them looms a colossal, ancient tree. The twisted treant king boss has arrived. Tianxing quickly signals He Ming to prepare for battle, activating the fusion skill. Instantly, the wolf's body begins to grow to a terrifying size. He Ming unleashes a massive fire tornado from his jaws, sending it spiraling toward the treant king. As the vortex of flame tears through the battlefield, the lesser treants shriek in agony. Tianxing watches for the perfect moment to enter the fray and harvest the souls. The twisted treant king clearly recognizes the threat He Ming poses, sending countless roots from the ground to bind the wolf. However, it only takes a few seconds for He Ming to break free. With his attributes boosted by the transformation, he snaps the restraints and charges the boss, activating his intimidation skill. The treant king's face twists into a very human expression of shock. It hadn't expected a mere summoned beast to possess such overwhelming strength. Before it can even process this, He Ming is already upon it. The king's golden branches are instantly ignited by the purple flames. It frantically retracts its limbs to try and extinguish the fire, but He Ming uses this opening to tear into the boss with his razor-sharp claws, completely ignoring the attacks from the lesser treants. He has adopted a brutal style of trading blow for blow. Now, the twisted treant king is filled with dread as it feels its life force slipping away. As its life is slowly being eaten away, the king desperately releases a skill, covering its branches and trunk in pale gold patterns. These branches become incredibly sharp, thrusting forward toward He Ming with lethal speed. The wolf is struck repeatedly, leaving his flesh torn and bleeding, but this only further ignites his ferocity. With a savage roar, he severs a dozen branches in a single swipe. At the same time, the black flames begin to consume the treant king. As the two sides trade brutal blows, wounds begin to appear on both of them. However, He Ming's relentless, suicidal determination truly begins to terrify the king. To be honest, it's a frightening sight. The dark flames continue to eat away at the boss, and its golden branches grow fewer by the second. Suddenly, the king lets out a deafening roar. The sound echoes across the horizon, reaching thousands of other trees that suddenly begin to uproot themselves from the earth. We see Tianxing's heart sink. He had just finished clearing one area, only for more to arrive. It seems this nightmare is never-ending. He Ming, however, is strangely excited. Countless purple flames return to his body from the surroundings, and in an instant, his attributes surge once more, making his assault even more violent. Tianxing quickly uses his enhancement and recovery spells to provide support from the sidelines. With his status boosted again, He Ming soon has the treant king howling in pure agony. In desperation, the king issues a final command, and the surrounding treants begin a suicidal charge against He Ming. They know they will die, but their only goal is to buy time. He Ming's purple flames explode outward once more, instantly igniting every attacking treant. The pillars of fire reach toward the sky, catching the attention of every other team in the Trant territory. Zhao Feiyang and his group are not far away. He wonders aloud where all the Trants went, realizing someone is actually challenging the king. He suspects it might be Tianxing fighting the twisted Trant king. When the rest of the team hears this, they collectively gasp in disbelief. It seems impossible, and yet they know no one else possesses that kind of overwhelming power. After a moment of silence, Zhao Feiyang checks the team's score counter, which shows 1,700 points. He notes that the Trants are simply too numerous for one man. The priest, Gu Fei, hears this, and his eyes widen in shock. He asks if Feiyang is actually suggesting that they go and help him. The other two members immediately shake their heads. That, they decide, is a step too far. They worry that if they arrive and he has already fallen, they will all be eliminated together. However, Zhao Feiyang analyzes the situation calmly, noting that since Tianxing's summon could solo a troll, it can surely hold off the twisted Trant king for a while. By killing smaller Trants, they can secure enough points for themselves. Even if they lose this round, they could still advance. After a brief silence, the others reluctantly agree to the plan. The group then begins charging toward the source of the flames. When Feiyang and his team finally reach the king's territory, they see the massive Trant king covered in purple flames, desperately running for its life. It's quite a pathetic sight, really. Chasing right behind it is a massive wolf wreathed in violet fire, tearing into it relentlessly. Feiyang and his companions stand there, completely stunned by the spectacle. It is only then that Tianxing notices the arrival of the group. Feiyang can only offer a bitter smile, admitting they thought he was in danger, yet the reality is quite the opposite. Seeing Feiyang's sincere expression and the score on his counter, Tianxing feels a surge of respect. They aren't close, but Feiyang risked his chance at a top-tier academy to come here. Gu Fei, fearing a misunderstanding, quickly steps forward to explain that Feiyang's grandfather was the old principal of the second high school. Though retired, he still cares deeply for the school's reputation. Seeing the school on the verge of falling to a second-tier status, Feiyang felt that only Tianxing could carry their banner. That is why they rushed here without a single moment of rest. Touched by this, Tianxing generously invites them to clear out the nearby Trants that are already low on health. Feiyang is initially embarrassed. After all, they came to help but ended up just leeching experience points instead. However, once he glances at the score counter on Tianxing's wrist, he loses all composure. 15,000 points. The 5,000 points he had before 5 in the morning was already staggering. To think that in just 1 hour, his score has tripled. Feiyang begins leading his team to clear the area, while Tianxing watches the weakening king and begins the final dance. As the king's massive body finally collapses, a flood of experience flows into Tianxing. His level climbs to level 8, and we see his score counter jump by another 3,000 points. Looking around, hundreds of Trants still remain. Tianxing has no intention of letting these experience points escape. Seeing their leader fallen, the Trants scramble to flee in a panic. However, they are far too slow. He Ming simply brushes past them, igniting them with violet flames, so Tianxing doesn't even have to lift a finger. Zhao Feiyang and his team give chase in the direction of the retreating monsters, finding that the Trants are now too terrified to even fight back. With only 1 minute remaining before the college entrance exam ends, Feiyang asks if Tianxing plans to continue the hunt. Hearing this, Tianxing simply shakes his head. With 20,500 points, he has secured a lead that is absolutely insurmountable. This exam has been quite the ordeal, to say the least. And then, as the final countdown reaches 0, countless students are teleported back to the vast plaza. Immediately, the gathered teachers and students erupt into cheers to welcome the examinees. The school leaders stand up in a state of pure excitement. He actually did it, taking the top spot. The principal rushes over with the faculty. Noticing the bloodstains on Tianxing, the principal sharply rebukes the nearby healers for not treating his wounds immediately. Gu Fei begins to work in a frantic rush, clearly flustered. To be honest, the pressure of the moment seems to have gotten to him. The principal hurries to Tianxing's side, asking with genuine concern if he feels any other discomfort or pain. Tianxing shakes his head, assuring the principal that he is fine. The principal nods, visibly satisfied with the young man's resilience. He then turns his gaze toward He Ming, whose body is covered in shocking wounds, his fur stained a deep, dark red. Gu Fei continues to act as the designated healer, desperately pouring his energy into treating He Ming's injuries. In the distance, Lu Rian's face is pale with resentment. She was eliminated within an hour, and her score won't even get her into a top academy. She blames Tianxing for everything, convinced that he should have told her about the Black Dog's incredible hidden talent. A bit late for that, really. Her eyes fill with bitterness as she dwells on her misfortune. Her partner, Lu Liang, had already slipped away the moment he was eliminated. He simply didn't have the face to stay at the testing grounds. Suddenly, the principal's expression turns tense as he checks his phone. The surrounding teachers crowd around him to see the news. Within moments, every single teacher turns their gaze toward Tianxing. We see the teachers looking over, their expressions a complex mix of emotions. Tiansheng is a bit puzzled. Surely a score of over 20,000 points isn't bad, even for the entire province. Why the long faces? Suddenly, the school leaders erupt into cheers, and the scene descends into a joyful sort of chaos. Watching them dance around with excitement, Tiansheng is a bit slow to react. The principal, however, is beaming with pride as he looks at the young man. Against all odds, Tiansheng managed to suppress every genius in the province. He actually did it. The principal realizes that by next year, their school's ranking will soar to the top tier. Tiansheng is the hero of this story, the top scholar of the entire province, no less. Hearing this, Tiansheng freezes for a moment. He thinks back to when little He Ming first appeared, and how he used his last credits just to buy the dog some meat. After all the carefully planned battles we witnessed inside the dungeon, he has truly reached the rank of provincial champion. It's quite a feat. One has to admit, He Ming is truly terrifying. Not only does he seem to have no ceiling, but his combat power scales at an incredible speed. Tiansheng knows he reached this height because of his companion. Thinking of this, he can't help but feel a surge of anticipation for his next summon. As the news spreads like wildfire, everyone learns the name of the province's top genius, Qin Tiansheng. Back at number 2 high school, the stands erupt in a frenzy of excitement. People are shouting that they knew all along he had the potential to become the provincial champion. Some students even declare they'll choose to be summoners next year. After all, being a summoner looks incredibly cool right now. Others wonder if a top scholar like him is looking for a girlfriend. We see many young girls blushing as they steal glances in his direction. Tiansheng's lips curl into a slight, satisfied smile. Meanwhile, over at the number 3 high school area, the atmosphere is a bit more subdued. The teachers are all trying to comfort Su Lingxue, but she doesn't seem to care about her ranking at all. Instead, she looks over with curiosity. She wonders if this is the summoner who managed to stay one step ahead of her. Later, when Tiansheng returns home, his sister Chun-Li rushes out. With an urgent look on her face, she asks if her brother is really that important now. Tiansheng is surprised by her sudden intensity. He wonders how she found out so quickly. She asks if the person who conquered the entire province with a single beast was really him. He gently pats his sister's head and gives her a nod. It's a quiet moment of confirmation after all the noise of the day. Receiving his confirmation, Chun-Li's breath hitches. She starts jumping up and down in excitement, eagerly asking to see his summoned beast. She begs him to show her the beast, mentioning how everyone is talking about how cool and powerful his summon is. It's quite the reputation to live up to. Tiansheng feels a bit helpless, explaining that their home is simply too small for such a display. Just then, his mother walks over, her face beaming with joy. We see her eyes glistening with tears of pride. Tiansheng looks at her and tells her she won't have to work 2 jobs anymore. To be honest, it was about time. He promises her a better life from now on. His mother nods firmly and calls them to dinner, her heart clearly full as she prepares the meal. The table is covered with dishes they could never afford before, delicacies they used to pass by in the market. Suddenly, his phone buzzes with a notification. He sees a bank transfer has arrived, and even he can't hide a surge of excitement. Before leaving school, he had mentioned the prize money to the principal. He hadn't expected the principal to move so fast, but the man ensured the funds were settled today. While a principal usually can't bypass every official channel, no one is going to argue with the needs of a provincial champion. Tiansheng realizes in this moment that his life has fundamentally changed, and who could blame him? He knows He Ming can hunt for himself now, so he decides it's best to leave the entire 1 million yuan prize at home for his family. A wise choice, really. This means his family will never have to pinch pennies again. For Tiansheng, providing this security is the true meaning of becoming stronger. After dinner, while his sister plays with He Ming outside, Tiansheng finds himself dwelling on a lingering mystery that he hasn't quite solved yet. He wonders if He Ming's SSS rank talent was a gift from a system, but despite calling out many times, he receives absolutely no response from any hidden interface. Ruling that out, he concludes there is only one other possibility. His own talent is so terrifyingly high that it has simply exceeded the known scales. It seems his power is literally off the charts, making it impossible for standard equipment to detect. He reminds himself that as the provincial champion, recruiters from top universities will soon be knocking on his door. Instead of worrying about which school to choose, his immediate priority is his first job advancement. Having just hit level 10, he opens his status panel and clicks on the advancement option. To move forward, he must face a specific challenge. The advancement requires him to clear a randomly matched dungeon. Only after completing the trial mission can he successfully transition to his next stage of power. Naturally, the stronger the candidate, the higher the difficulty of the matched dungeon. However, if one performs exceptionally well, their professional potential can actually increase. If he achieves the highest possible clear rating, his entire character class might even ascend to a higher tier. It's a rare and golden opportunity. This is one of the few chances to bridge the gap between ordinary and elite, though very few ever succeed. A moment later, the process begins. The system finishes its preparations, and we see Tianxing being teleported into the first advancement dungeon. After reading the detailed description, he realizes the dungeon consists of 10 people in total, with a strict 24-hour time limit where returning to Earth is impossible. Currently, there are only two choices available: either protect the survivors and eliminate the calamity beasts, or help the mother beast devour everything in its path. Looking at the mission, he begins to weigh his options carefully. After seeing a prompt, he resolutely chooses to eliminate the calamity beasts and protect the survivors. While helping the mother beast might be the easier path, He Ming needs to devour things in order to grow. If the mother beast consumes everything first, what would be left for He Ming? Just as he finishes his selection, a sudden noise echoes from nearby. We see a petite young girl being thrown through the air toward him, just as a calamity beast lunges fiercely at her. Just when the girl thinks her end has come, a flash of sword light cuts through the air, and the mid-air monster is sliced into two pieces. The girl looks at him with a stunned expression. Seeing her silence, Tianxing steps forward to offer a handshake, introducing himself as Chun Tianxing and mentioning that the little chick on his head is quite unique. The girl also begins her own introduction, explaining her name is Lu Yu and thanking him for the rescue. Just as he prepares to ask about the state of this world, a voice suddenly shouts from the distance, warning that the situation has changed and everyone must retreat immediately. Hearing this, the girl's entire body tenses up. She grabs a long blade from the ground and tries to pull him away, urging him to run. But before she can finish, a car comes hurtling toward them at high speed. Tianxing quickly pulls Lu Yu behind him for protection, using his cane sword. The arrow braced against the car's momentum, skidding back 10 meters before finally halting. Lu Yu's face, naturally, turned pales as she rushes over to ask if he's alright. He quickly steadies his breathing and shakes his head, which is quite a relief, really. He then looks ahead at a strange, monstrous figure whose limbs are entirely made of long blades. Lu Yu's gaze turns solemn as she identifies it. This is a blade demon, and it seems they won't be able to leave easily. In the next instant, the demon charges, and Tianxing immediately raises his sword to meet the attack. The clash of blades rings out sharply. As the demon roars, its other arm swings down toward his head. He dodges backward to avoid the strike and calls out to Lu Yu, asking her to give him her blade. Hearing this, she hesitates for a moment. She immediately throws the long blade over. Tianxing decides to dual-wield both sword and blade, charging toward the demon, who swings its own twin blades in return. After a dozen fierce exchanges, he realizes that the two weapons actually complement each other perfectly. Nearby, Lu Yu covers her mouth in complete shock. She is stunned by his sheer strength. He is actually able to go head-to-head with a blade demon without falling into a disadvantage. This is something even her own sister couldn't manage. At that moment, Tianxing finally spots a flaw in the demon's defense. His sharp blade instantly severs one of the creature's arms, followed by a swift, decapitating strike. He then walks back toward Lu Yu. He begins to ask about the specifics of this world. It turns out that not long ago, this place was invaded by a corrupting energy called evil qi. Whether human or animal, everything began to change, eventually turning into violent creatures devoid of any reason. It was a total nightmare, really. Although the evil qi has thinned out now, it has caused strange mutations. Even the weapons and the very earth itself can undergo a disastrous transformation. After understanding the situation, he casually asks if the horns on people's heads are a result of this disaster. Lu Yu nods solemnly. If one doesn't lose their mind within the evil qi, then their willpower can help them resist the mutation while their strength slowly increases. Just as she finishes speaking, a group of about a dozen people appears around a nearby corner. They look panicked, glancing around in fear. A tall woman leading the group spots Lu Yu and immediately shouts out in a desperate, high-pitched voice for her to run. The ground begins to vibrate violently as countless calamity beasts suddenly emerge before our eyes, filling the area with a sense of dread. Before them, shadows stretched across the ground as the towering buildings seemed to close in, forming a tightening circle that pursued them from every side. Everyone present falls into deep despair, except for the tall woman who grits her teeth, prepared to lead a desperate breakout. She tells Lu Yu to stay close. She then looks at Tianxing with a hint of apology, introducing herself as Lu Yu's sister, Lu Yan, and apologizing for dragging him into this mess. He doesn't seem to mind at all. Instead, he walks toward the calamity beasts, wanting to see exactly how many of them there are. Seeing this, Lu Yan shouts for him not to be so impulsive, as one person alone cannot possibly contend with so many monsters. Hearing this, he looks back with a smile and asks who said he was alone. In his eyes, it is the monsters who are surrounded. He immediately activates his summoning skill. After a ripple of spatial distortion, the massive, towering form of He Ming appears behind him. At that exact moment, a piercing cry echoes through the sky. Tianxing, well aware of how dangerous these calamity beasts are, immediately activates He Ming's giant form. He then commands the massive creature to charge into the swarm, as purple flames begin to spread rapidly across the battlefield. Most of the beasts can't even last 5 seconds before they are reduced to nutrients and absorbed by He Ming. It is a truly efficient, if slightly terrifying, display. The onlookers are frozen in disbelief. Lu Yan is the first to snap out of it, shouting that since the beast has drawn the monsters away, they must seize the chance. The group quickly retreats toward a commercial building, hoping to escape through the back door. But as we know, things are rarely that simple. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning strikes from the sky without warning. A blond young man holding a book steps out from the shadows to block their path. He calmly informs them that passage through his territory is forbidden. As he speaks, his book glows with an eerie purple light. Streaks of purple lightning crackle around him. Sensing a sudden, sharp chill of danger, Tianxing instinctively swings his blade toward the empty air behind him. A crisp metallic clang rings out in the void. A blue-haired woman wielding a dagger slowly reveals herself, her stealth having been compromised. She is impressed that his spiritual power is high enough to detect her in the heat of battle. Tianxing, however, isn't interested in small talk. His blade instantly slashes across her waist, a direct hit. Curiously, however, there is no blood. Instead, her body flickers like a fading phantom. She reappears several meters away, looking at him with genuine shock. To be honest, she clearly hadn't expected him to be this fast. She screams for her allies to stop watching, asking if they really expect an assassin to fight him head-on. Right on cue, a fiery figure crashes down from above. Tianxing raises his long blade to meet the impact. After several fierce exchanges, the man shrouded in flames begins to look worried. He finds it hard to believe a mere summoner possesses such incredible strength and speed. He even pauses to ask if Tianxing is truly just a summoner. Tianxing doesn't bother answering. Instead, he gives a cold laugh and scans the area, telling the others to stop hiding like rats and come out. For more figures slowly emerge from the void. It seems they have all chosen the second mission, to protect the mother beast. This puts them in direct opposition to our protagonist. Normally, the Federation Council forbids killing within reincarnation dungeons, under threat of being wanted. However, dungeons with specific faction divisions are a notable exception to that rule. In other words, the gloves are officially off. The man in the flames mocks Tianxing, remarking that he didn't think anyone would actually be foolish enough to choose the first mission. The man asks if Tianxing's teachers in Great Xia ever taught him how to actually increase his chances of survival inside a reincarnation dungeon. He tells him not to talk nonsense, claiming that while Great Xia's knowledge is all in the textbooks, Tianxing must have simply slipped through the cracks. Still, he admits that reaching the second job advancement proves Tianxing is extraordinary, so he advises him to run away while he still can. A sturdy Huaxiao man chimes in, suggesting that Tianxing should know how to choose between completing a mission and losing his life. Hearing this, the blue-haired assassin woman is less than generous, noting that the more the mother beast eats, the higher their final score will be. She reminds them that Tianxing didn't hold back against them earlier, so they might as well let him become nutrients for the mother beast. Tianxing narrows his eyes at the group, asking if they've ever heard the saying that high-end hunters rarely have good intentions. The others react as if they've just heard a hilarious joke. They wonder how he expects to win a fight when it's 1 against 6. As we see him calmly wipe the blood from his long blade, Tianxing asks how they can be so sure that no one else chose the same mission as him. Furthermore, he points out that such a high-profile performance was exactly what he needed to draw them all out. He tells them he has memorized each of their faces and their arrogant attitudes, and now, it's time for a little payback. As soon as he finishes speaking, a violent, tyrannical roar echoes across the battlefield, shaking the very air around them. The surrounding flames and energy surge back into He Ming's body like a flood, causing the massive creature to grow even more unstable. Standing 8 meters tall, He Ming clears the surrounding miasma as he charges forward, activating his intimidation skill. The group feels a sudden chill wash over them, and to their horror, their hands and feet begin to tremble uncontrollably. When the massive black claws swing down, they finally manage to override their brain's fear response and scatter in every direction. Unfortunately, the last person to try and escape is caught. Black flames instantly envelop his entire body. He doesn't even have time to scream before he is turned to ash. Seeing this, the remaining 5 are suddenly drenched in cold sweat. They had assumed that while the summon was strong, 3 of them could stall it while the others finished off the summoner. They expected the beast to vanish once Tianxing died, but they hadn't realized the summoner's own strength and speed were just as formidable. One of them immediately chants a spell, summoning thick bolts of lightning that coil around He Ming like iron chains to bind him. He shouts that he can only hold the beast for 10 seconds, but before he can even finish his sentence, He Ming shatters the restraints. As Tianxing releases an empowerment spell, He Ming's strength surges once more, forcing the remaining 5 to stop holding back. They begin to reveal their trump cards, and the blue-haired assassin transforms into a dark shadow, lunging directly for Tianxing's face. Suddenly, countless ice spears rain down from above, forcing the assassin to retreat in a desperate attempt to dodge the frozen barrage. The assassin demands to know who is hiding, and we see a young woman with long, ice-colored hair slowly walking toward them. A layer of frost spreads across the ground, and even the calamity beasts behind her are instantly frozen into solid ice sculptures. The sturdy man tries to step forward to intercept her, but another roar suddenly echoes from the opposite side of the battlefield. Ming activates his taunt skill, forcing 3 of the hunters to turn their weapons away from Tianxing and attack the beast instead. Just as the pressure becomes nearly unbearable, Ming teleports behind the trio exactly as the taunt effect wears off. The 3 men regain their senses only to find themselves drenched in sweat. A second later, one is torn in half by massive claws. The other 2 are paralyzed by an intimidation skill before being swallowed whole by Ming's massive, gaping maw. Ming then turns his attention to the assassin fighting Tianxing, whose face pales as she realizes the tide has completely turned. She flickers away, reappearing dozens of meters away, and flees without looking back, though Ming is already in hot pursuit. Purple flames cling to her like a tracking device, while on the other side, a blast of frigid air erupts across the area. Everything the frost touches, from the crumbling buildings to the living creatures, is instantly transformed into a silent ice statue. The sturdy man is frozen solid where he stands, leaving only one of the 6 original hunters left, the blonde youth. His face is ghostly white, unable to believe that their 6-on-3 advantage was so utterly crushed by Tianxing's overwhelming power. He releases a desperate smokescreen to cover his escape, but Tianxing's eyes are filled with a cold, unmistakable killing intent. With a flash of lightning-fast movement, Tianxing swings his long blade, ensuring that not a single one of these hunters escapes the night. We see Lu Yu and a dozen others lying heavily wounded on the ground, though fortunately, no one has died. You then ask him for the location of the Calamity Mother. The mother stands out among the countless calamity beasts, and only by erasing her can the score be maximized for everyone involved. It is a chance to help save this world, though he warns that so far, no one has ever managed to kill a calamity mother. He tells you there is no need to risk your life, but you simply pat his shoulder and assure him that Ming will protect everyone. At that moment, Su Lingxue and a large, stout man walk over. The first thing she says upon seeing you is, "Big brother, your summon is incredible." She wonders if you are the top scholar from Dongtian province, while the man asks if she is the second-ranked Su Lingxue herself. It turns out her former classmates always said Lingxue was as kind-hearted as she was beautiful, a girl of humble origins who nearly took the top spot. Meanwhile, the students from the second high school used to brag that compared to our Tianxing, the top scholars from other provinces were nothing but amateurs. They even had photos to prove their claims, which, naturally, added a bit of fuel to the local rivalries. Because of this, the 2 of you quickly became famous across the neighboring provinces, leaving you and Lingxue both feeling a bit awkward about the hype. You wonder who taught them to brag like that, but after chatting for a while, the 3 of you reach an understanding and you explain the plan. You discuss the mission to kill the Calamity Mother, and both immediately agree. However, when we reach the city center, the atmosphere shifts. We find a thick, cross-like mist drifting between the skyscrapers. This is clearly far more dangerous than the outer regions we just left. Suddenly, swarms of calamity beasts rush forward, and Ming immediately activates his intimidation skill before charging into the crowded street. Purple flames explode across the pavement, and as you watch the swarms approaching from every direction, you realize something is wrong. The Calamity Mother must have sensed something, as these creatures seem to have their own special way of communicating with one another. Without hesitation, you draw the sword from your cane and strike at the beasts coming from the right, with the others following your lead. Lingxue quickly summons her magic orb, and like a divine intervention, a massive wall of ice rises to block the charging beasts. Sharp ice spears erupt toward the rear, and countless beasts let out a mournful cry as they fall in rows, like wheat before a scythe. On the other side, Ming tears through the battlefield like a wave of black lava, an unstoppable force that leaves nothing but destruction in his wake. The entire street is consumed by purple flames, and we see the calamity beasts unable to withstand the heat for more than a few seconds. The piles of corpses Ming leaves behind don't even account for a fraction of the swarm. The city holds roughly 1 million beasts. Even if his stamina were infinite, he couldn't kill them all, so you decisively order Ming to hunt the Calamity Mother instead. Upon hearing your command, Ming turns and smashes through the ice wall, sending beasts flying as he charges toward the source. He heads for the city center where the corruption is thickest, but just as he reaches the bridge, something massive stirs in the mist. A dark red serpent, over 10 meters long, lunges from the gloom and strikes him with enough force to send him reeling. Ming is sent flying backward, but as he rises from the rubble, he lets out a roar filled with pure, unadulterated hatred. More dark red serpents begin to slither around him, their countless eyes all fixed on Ming with predatory intent. The massive octopus-like mother seems to sense the danger and retreats slightly, prompting Ming to launch a desperate immediate attack. As the mother shrinks back, several serpents lash out at once. Ming dodges what he can, which, to be honest, isn't much. He uses his claws to tear through those he can't avoid, but a momentary lapse allows a serpent to whip him away again. The distance he worked so hard to close is instantly reset. Until now, Ming relied on his giant form's strength to dominate. But now, facing the overwhelming reach of these giant tentacles, he finds himself unable to get close enough to land a blow. As the tentacles whistle through the air again, the sheer pressure of their power begins to crack the very ground beneath them. It seems as though Ming might be crushed entirely, but with a sudden, furious roar, a surge of purple flames erupts from him. The fire explodes without mercy, forcing the violent tentacles back and giving Ming the opening he so desperately needed. Using that momentum, he lunges forward in a final, all-or-nothing charge toward the center, while back at the line, you struggle to stand. Your clothes are torn to shreds, and the stout man, Luo Xian, isn't faring much better. His shield is shattered, and he is bleeding. Only Su Lingxue remains unharmed atop her ice pillar, kept safe by the protection you and Luo Xian have provided at great cost. She keeps her eyes tightly shut, focusing entirely on recovering her mana, while Luo Xian continues to hold the line against the pressure. Behind the lines, we see your brow furrow in concern as you sense through the soul contract that Ming's life force is rapidly fading. It seems she has truly fallen into a desperate situation, and the stakes have never been higher. Suddenly, the world feels like a frozen cellar as ice transforms into two massive white dragons, roaring as they surge forward. You watch in disbelief, remembering the rumors that Su Lingxue's hidden potential was immense, and it seems they weren't exaggerating. To be honest, the power of this single move likely exceeds S rank, a truly terrifying display of strength. This strike clears a path through the swarm, yet as more beasts join the fray, you realize you must strike the leader to end this. Checking Ming's evolution progress, you see she is only 30 points away from reaching her full potential. At this moment, she is just shy of the threshold needed to transform. Forcing a mid-battle evolution is the only glimmer of hope left. Otherwise, the three of you stand no chance against this army. A little later, you push through the horde to reach the city center, which Ming and the corrupted Zhang Yun have turned into ruins. A roar echoes in the distance, and as we follow you into the thick corruption, we find Ming looking weak and covered in blood. She allows the tentacles to lash her body without retreating a single step, knowing that reaching the mother is the only way to win. You prepare to lure the beasts so Ming can devour them, instructing Luo Xian to draw the mother's attention. Luo Xian hesitates, asking if taunting such a monster will be his certain death, which, in any other context, would be a fair question. You reassure him that Su Lingxue is there to help, before immediately sprinting toward Ming's side. Luo Xian grits his teeth and uses a taunt on Zhang Yun, though his low level makes the attempt rather ineffective. Zhang Yun merely glances at him, casually swinging a tentacle his way as Luo Xian frantically raises his shield in defense. He invokes the Wall of Earth, summoning several yellow stone barriers, while Su Lingxue adds her own ice walls for protection. There is a deafening crash as the ice wall shatters instantly, failing to hold for even a single second. When the tentacle finally slams into Luo Xian's shield, he feels as if the world is collapsing, a sharp pain blooming in his chest. Luo Xian coughs up a mouthful of blood and falls unconscious, while you lead the swarm of beasts toward Ming. The plan is for her to devour them and increase her purification energy. Reaching her side, you immediately cast recovery spells. With your buffs, Ming shakes off the restrictive tentacles and charges into the swarm with renewed ferocity. The mother beast realizes the danger, but it is already far too late as purple flames erupt within the horde. The flames return to Ming, carrying devoured energy, and seeing her purification bar is full, you trigger the evolution. A terrifying surge of energy explodes from within Ming, sending a massive pillar of light piercing into the sky. She gains the new skill Swift Strike, while her other talents are all upgraded from C rank to B rank. She also acquires the Diamond Body talent, coating her in an immovable force that boosts all her attributes by 60 points. When Ming's gaze fixes back onto the giant octopus, the monster feels a sense of dread it has never known. That fear is quickly replaced by rage, as no creature has ever dared to defy it so boldly, and it lashes out. Thick tentacles whip toward Ming, yet her golden light merely flickers as she absorbs the impact with ease. She blocks the assault as a towering phantom forms behind her, causing the surrounding temperature to skyrocket. Suddenly, you feel something grab your leg, only to look down and find that Luo Xian has finally woken up. He squeezes out a weak smile, calling you a legend and vowing to stick by your side, which you quickly help him do. The three of you watch the clash of titans together as Ming raises her massive claws high into the air. The phantom behind her mirrors the movement, raising its own field of force to prepare for a devastating blow. The mother's tentacles strike Ming repeatedly, but they fail to leave even a single scratch on her golden hide. As corrupt energy flows into the octopus, its body swells in size before it launches every tentacle in a final strangling move. After hours of frantic, mutual destruction, the surrounding buildings have all been reduced to piles of rubble. Amidst the ruins, only Hei Ming remains standing, her triumphant roar echoing across the devastated landscape. As the corrupt energy in this world finally dissipates, the Mother Octopus's life force vanishes along with it, allowing our three heroes to finally breathe a sigh of relief. Having eliminated the Calamity Mother and thousands of other beasts, they know their score for this first turn dungeon will be exceptionally high. With a sudden notification chime, we see them vanish from the spot as the final evaluation begins to calculate their impressive tally. The record shows 8,564 beasts slain, the Calamity Mother defeated, and over 100 survivors in Ningen City protected. Congratulations are in order for a perfect score and a promotion to Summoning Swordmaster, along with the awakening of a new professional skill. The Soul Sword ignores all physical defense, dealing damage directly to the soul based on the strength of the user's own spiritual power. Looking at the panel floating before him, he feels a bit surprised by the sheer potential of his new abilities. He prepares to test the skill immediately, but as he activates it, he feels his soul power being drained away in an instant. He quickly retracts the Soul Sword. It seems this skill can only be used as a trump card, as his soul power can't support a second strike. Only after a hearty meal does he recover some of his spirit, and upon checking his phone, he finds two new friend requests waiting for him. They are from Luo Xian and Su Lingxue, and given their life and death friendship, he accepts them without a moment's hesitation. Scrolling down, he sees a message from his homeroom teacher, Lu Wen, mentioning that the admissions tutors from the top academies are ready. He is told to prepare himself and come by as soon as possible for the next step in his journey. After seeing the message, he rushes to the school, where he finds teacher Lu Wen already waiting for him at the front gate. Lu Wen greets him warmly, noting that he has finally arrived and that all 5 of the top-tier academies have sent their recruiters. In the entire second high school, he is the only student to receive such prestigious treatment, a rare honor indeed. The teacher's voice is thick with excitement, while Principal Li stands nearby, grinning from ear to ear as they walk into the school together. Along the way, his fellow students greet him with immense enthusiasm, and some of the younger girls even blush as he passes by. One girl even hands him a pink letter, a scene that leaves Lu Wen looking a bit exasperated as they finally reach the principal's office. Once inside the office, Lu Wen pulls a ring shaped like a coiled dragon from a drawer, explaining that this is a gift from his master. As a reward, they watched your exam videos and specifically chose a unique sword for you. It is a dual-form weapon that functions as both a staff and a blade, accompanied by a universal skill book. His eyes light up instantly. After all, his old staff sword was badly damaged from so many battles. A new weapon is exactly what he needs most, and a universal skill book is a prize any profession would envy. Its value is easily in the millions, and as he probes the storage ring with his mind, 2 items appear. Information for the skill book and the Heavenly Authority staff sword flashes before him, leaving him quite satisfied. It is a perfect fit for a summoner, and soon, all 5 top academies begin offering him their best deals. The representative from Qingtian Academy starts by promising that any 3 resources are his for the choosing. However, the mentor from Beilong Academy scoffs at the offer, mocking such a meager selection of resources. To be honest, he makes it sound like they are merely handing out scraps to a beggar. The stakes rise as Yuntian Academy steps in, suggesting that if Chen joins them, they will go a step further. They offer to relocate his mother and sister, ensuring their lives are fully arranged and comfortable. Then, Ji Fei from Yunk Academy takes a deep breath and makes her move, promising even greater heights. She offers to apply for the finest summoning materials to increase his chances of obtaining top-tier summons. They even offer to cover all growth resources for his Black Wolf, matching every condition the others mentioned. It seems Yunk is willing to give him everything the other schools promised and more. This year is full of monsters, with over 10 students scoring above 20,000 points in the exams. The other 4 mentors quietly back down, worried that spending too many resources here will leave them empty-handed later. Hearing such a generous offer, he jokingly remarks that while he accepts the gifts, they can keep their daughters. The principal and Lu Wen turn red at his cheekiness, while mentor Ji Fei listens to his response with interest. She doesn't mind the joke about the daughters. In fact, she seems pleased, teasingly suggesting that if he prefers someone more mature, she might be available. 2 days later, we see his mother seeing him off at the airport as he flies alone to Zhongtian City to join Yunk Academy. Countless top-tier students are gathering here, and even a quick glance reveals many geniuses who have already completed their first job advancement. Many newcomers quickly drop their arrogance, while even the senior students at the reception desk remark on how this year is overflowing with powerhouses. Geniuses are everywhere, and rumors say the top-ranked student has already broken the 30,000-point limit, a truly staggering feat. At that moment, 2 young women step out of a private car. Their faces are remarkably similar, and the crowd recognizes them instantly. They are the top scorers from Chongjiang province, having secured the first place ranked together as a formidable duo. A senior student quickly approaches Chun to guide him through the registration process, leading him to get his information officially recorded. After arranging his housing, they provide him with a special phone linked to the Apocalypse system, allowing him to access restricted data. As he enters his student ID, the senior student standing beside him suddenly freezes in complete disbelief. She has never seen a freshman start with 100,000 credits, an amount that could buy almost anything in the academy. Meanwhile, in the Yunk Academy office, Ji-Fei is facing trouble of her own regarding the resources she promised. Her colleagues argue that while they had enough resources to recruit 4 top paladins, she spent far too much on a single student. They claim she is wasting Yunk's chance to escape the bottom rankings, especially since the summoning materials alone cost tens of thousands. The resource package is top tier, and giving him 100,000 credits on top of that is seen as an excessive luxury. They believe these rewards far exceed his actual value, even if he were the highest scoring student in the entire country. Ji-Fei asks if they have actually watched his exam footage, suggesting that even an S-rank student would be moved by his performance. She points out the unnatural growth speed of his summon, but Jiang Weiyue immediately cuts in to draw a different conclusion. He questions if the summon's growth is simply too fast, implying his talent might actually exceed the estimated S rank. However, he quickly shakes his head in denial, insisting it is impossible for a first advancement summon to be that high tier. He argues that such rapid growth before reaching S rank must have come at a cost, sacrificing long-term potential for a temporary explosion in power. In other words, she will only grow weaker as time goes on. However, Ji-Fei simply sits across from him, smiling as she waits. Tomorrow, the truth of the newcomer continent will be revealed, yet Jiang Weiyue frowns deeply, clearly disapproving of the situation. He tells her he cannot support this gambler's behavior, warning that when the results come out tomorrow, even if the clan leader is her mother, she will still be held accountable. Meanwhile, the materials for the second summoning have finally been approved and sent to Chun. Ji-Fei messages him, saying she will do her best to help him apply for anything else he might need in the future. Seeing the message, Chun feels a sense of genuine warmth. It is truly rare to find a mentor so dedicated to his success. Still, gratitude is one thing, but he isn't about to turn down the necessary materials. To be honest, he needs every bit of them. The supplies arrive quickly, and he prepares for the second summoning. As he casts the spell, magic instantly floods the entire room. A shimmering light appears within the void, and from the glow, a delicate silver butterfly emerges before his eyes. He quickly opens his status panel to check the results, hoping for another miracle to match his previous success. However, his jaw nearly drops in shock. These attributes are actually weaker than He Ming's, setting a new record for the lowest stats possible. He catches the silver butterfly as it flutters toward him. The system begins the synchronization process, reaching a perfect 100%. A prompt asks if he wishes to establish a life connection. As he clicks confirm, that familiar, agonizing sensation of a tearing soul returns. The connection is complete, and a notification rings out. The summon has gained the unique SSS rank talent, Myriad Divine Transformation. This talent allows it to take any form and gain different abilities accordingly. Hearing this, he finally breathes a long sigh of relief. Now he begins to feel a spark of curiosity, wondering exactly what kind of forms this little silver butterfly can actually take. After a bit of preliminary research, he realizes just how powerful this transformation talent truly is. It is, quite frankly, a game changer. To test it out, he spends a few hundred credits on his phone to buy a set of standard combat armor, which is delivered almost instantly. He opens the crate to find the various pieces of the armor set inside, and he begins the synchronization process with the silver butterfly. With a simple thought, the silver butterfly nods and dissolves into a soft glow, transforming into a set of combat armor that slowly covers his body. Surprisingly, he doesn't feel the slightest bit of discomfort. It feels as though the armor were a natural extension of his own skin. It seems that a suit of armor truly is the ultimate dream for any man, though he notes its defensive power is still a bit lacking. Sensing his thoughts, the silver butterfly sends back a mental pulse, explaining that its armor form can be strengthened by absorbing metals. This increased hardness won't vanish even if it changes forms, and as it absorbs items, there is a small chance it will gain their unique properties. Just like the greed gluttony talent, this has no upper limit. Naturally, he is eager to see what it can do and lets the butterfly merge with the armor he bought. The butterfly swallows the gear instantly, and a moment later, Chun feels the silver plating on his body grow noticeably tougher. With this, defense is no longer his weakness. Where a powerful attack might have killed him instantly before, that danger is now a thing of the past. As long as he keeps feeding the silver butterfly, he, a mere summoner, might actually become a frontline powerhouse. Excited by the prospect, he immediately messages Ji-Fei, telling her he needs construction materials with special properties, and plenty of them. She replies with a simple, okay, and barely half an hour later, a notification arrives that the requested items have been delivered. Inside the crates, we see a collection of rare metal ores, each possessing different properties and belonging to the most precious resource tiers. The total value must be in the tens of millions. Furthermore, these are military-controlled resources that ordinary players simply cannot buy. Chen begins the fusion process, not even sparing the metal crates themselves as the silver butterfly consumes everything in sight. Soon, the armor covering him becomes incredibly hard, while its weight reaches a staggering 5 tons. Yet, it doesn't hinder his movement at all. Of course, if he were to land on an enemy, it would feel like a mountain falling on their heads. The butterfly also gains a sharpness attribute from the absorption, greatly increasing its lethality during combat. He even has a weapon on his back that can change shape at will. This is exactly the kind of living armor he had imagined. Early the next morning, after washing up and heading downstairs, he is surprised to find 3 young men sitting in the living room. They clearly know who he is, though one cold-looking man speaks with a hint of disdain, suggesting Chen's success is merely a matter of luck. The man claims Chen simply got lucky with a powerful summon. As the second-ranked student in Longxi province with 23,000 points, he clearly looks down on our protagonist. He speaks with a sharp edge, implying that while others rely on luck for their summons, his own success is a matter of pure, undeniable talent. Another student, Fengye, chimes in to challenge this arrogance, noting that awakening an S-rank talent is just as much a matter of fortune as anything else. Suddenly, an announcement blares across the residence, instructing all new students to gather their weapons and equipment immediately. They are ordered to assemble at Skylark Square. It seems the freshman competition is starting half a month earlier than originally scheduled. A young man named Chao Yang adjusts his glasses and suggests that the timeline has been moved up for a very specific, and perhaps troubling, reason. Fengye looks confused, but Chao Yang explains that the number of mutated beasts outside the city walls has been growing at an alarming rate lately. Several areas have already been declared forbidden zones, and with nations sending all their strength to the front lines, there is no one left to clear these threats. Fengye's brow furrows as the realization hits. She asks if the academy truly intends to send fresh students out to deal with these mutated beasts. Chao Yang nods, noting that humanity no longer has the luxury of time to nurture talent slowly. They must learn to fight on the front lines now. Unlike a dungeon where one can simply exit when things get dangerous, the risk of death in the wild will be exceptionally high for everyone involved. However, the rate of growth will also be incredibly fast. He advises that if they want to stay safe, they should avoid standing out during the competition. By keeping a low rank, they might avoid being drafted for the cleanup crews, as the academy likely won't force those who don't show elite potential. Chen remains silent after hearing this, wondering if the global situation has truly become so dire. He suddenly recalls the world within the reincarnation dungeon. He remembers the sight of countless people dying under the weight of calamity, with only a few survivors left struggling to breathe in the ruins. It seems Blue Star is facing a similar crisis. Meanwhile, the arrogant man, Tian Sheng, continues his cold posturing, seemingly unfazed by the looming danger. Tian Sheng declares that this early start is perfect, as he intends to crush Chen and prove he is the one who truly deserves the title of top scholar. Watching this display of blind ego, Chen simply offers a small, knowing smile. He is perfectly fine with letting the results speak for themselves. Deep down, he knows he must be the one to surpass everyone. He needs to grow stronger as quickly as possible to protect his mother and sister. We move now to Skylark Square, where the new students have gathered. Over a dozen instructors and senior officials stand ready to begin the proceedings. Up on the stage, the announcement begins. The top 100 students are now required to head outside the city walls to clear out mutated beasts. At the same time, the freshman competition originally set for 2 weeks from now is being moved to today. You are all expected to perform. The students must enter a large-scale level 20 to 30 dungeon known as Hunter's Canyon. This is no mere training exercise. This competition will determine all future resource allocations. Those who break into the top 100 will immediately receive 5,000 credits. The top 50 will receive 10,000. As the announcement concludes, the massive dungeon gates slowly begin to creak open. A heavy aura spills out, sweeping across the square. Some students find their legs shaking and their lips trembling. This isn't a joke anymore. They wonder how they can survive when they haven't even reached their first job advancement. Meanwhile, a tall figure is searching for someone nearby. The figure quickly pushes through the crowd toward Chen. To be honest, it is a bit of a surprise to see him here. It is Luo Xian. He had mentioned applying to Skylark Academy, just like Chen, and it seems he actually followed through. He even brought his sister, Luo Ning. Luo Xian jokes that their survival depends on Chen's protection, while Luo Ning hides behind her brother like a shy little bird. Chen tells them he can't partner with them. Hearing this, Luo Xian's expression instantly turns to one of panic. He quickly promises that they won't be a burden to him. He claims he can tank the damage while Luo Ning provides buffs and crowd control. But Chen sighs, explaining that isn't the issue at all. His expression turns serious as he warns them that following his team will be exceptionally dangerous. Luo Xian insists he isn't afraid, but Chen looks at the sister. As Chen's gaze falls upon Luo Ning, the older brother suddenly realizes the weight of the situation. The thought of Luo Ning following them into such danger almost brings her to tears. Considering her timid personality, Luo Xian realizes it might be a death sentence. Luo Xian is torn, looking visibly troubled by the dilemma. Watching this, Chun sighs helplessly and sends them both a party invitation anyway. With his current strength, he figures that as long as he remains cautious, protecting the two of them shouldn't be much of a problem. Soon, the students begin entering the dungeon. Interestingly, most of the people here choose to go in solo, which is common in elite academies. In such a competitive environment, this display of independence is hardly surprising. As a white light envelopes their bodies, our three companions begin their descent. They step forward together, officially entering the depths of the dungeon. And so, our three companions find themselves standing at the entrance of the dungeon. Luo Xian doesn't hesitate for a second, raising his great shield to taunt the monsters rushing from the shadows. Luo Ning looks a bit nervous as she quickly casts her buffs. Suddenly, the monster's movements stiffen as the surrounding colors bleed away into a dull gray. With a mere thought from Chun, a silver butterfly appears in a flash of white light, landing gently upon his finger. In an instant, a brilliant glow erupts, and Chun is clad in shimmering silver armor. He tosses his staff to Luo Ning and prepares for battle. He draws the heavy war blade from his back with practiced ease. Before the monsters can even react, they are cut down, falling to the ground in heaps. Seeing this, Luo Xian shouts with pure excitement. He yells that it's incredibly cool, finally experiencing the joy of being carried by a powerful teammate. Luo Ning also lets out a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, the instructors watching the broadcast are absolutely stunned. Such speed and raw damage are almost on par with a hidden melee class. But there is a glaring problem. Isn't he supposed to be a summoner? Something is wrong. To be honest, those attributes don't make any sense at all. One instructor suggests it might be due to that silver butterfly, which appears to be Chin's second summon creature. Hearing this, the others wear expressions of pure disbelief. A summon that can transform into a weapon? Such a creature has never been seen before. Even the knowledgeable clan leader is slightly surprised by the revelation. Nearby, Ji Fei simply lets a small smile curl at the corner of her lips. Inside, Chen now has a clear grasp of his own power. He can one-shot these level 20 monsters with ease, putting his strength at the peak of a second job advancement. Even if he couldn't defeat a third advancement opponent, he could certainly walk away from the fight unscathed. However, the Grey Domain is constantly trying to erode his will. He quickly tells Luo Ning to retract her field. Seeing Chun standing perfectly still, Luo Xin shouts in a panic, worried his friend is being affected. Luo Ning's mind goes blank with fear. But in the blink of an eye, Chen steps out of the Grey Domain. His expression is calm and composed as ever. As it turns out, Chen hasn't been affected in the slightest. Luo Ning quickly apologizes, admitting that in her panic, she forgot how to control the field. Her voice is thick with tension, knowing she made a mistake. Chen doesn't blame her, though. He suddenly understands why their parents allowed Luo Xian to bring his sister along on such a dangerous journey. He offers her a small, comforting smile and tells her it's all right. Checking the recorder, we see they've only earned about 120 points. This pace is clearly a bit too slow. To grow stronger quickly, he must take first place and secure the resources of the snow axe. Whether it's the silver butterfly or Hei Ming, both require massive amounts of gold, stone, and energy to achieve limitless, frantic growth. With a mere thought, Chen summons Hei Ming, who appears with a deafening, earth-shaking roar. After giantizing, the creature's size explodes to over 100 meters, with pitch-black flames dancing across its entire body. Having picked a direction, Hei Ming charges forward, his massive silhouette vanishing from sight in the blink of an eye. As Hei Ming storms through, the point notifications begin to skyrocket, simply because his base combat power is already at the level of a third advancement. While giantized, he can even clash with fourth advancement foes, so Chen lets him sweep through the area with terrifying efficiency. Chen then heads down a different path, intending to farm points from two directions at once. In just 2 minutes, Hei Ming has already covered over 10 kilometers, with every monster in his path being swallowed by flames and converted into energy that flows back into him. His massive frame is even growing by millimeters. Nearby, 5 first advancement students are struggling to fend off a swarm of giant spiders. Suddenly, a wave of scorching heat washes over them as the 100-meter-tall Hei Ming comes charging through. The trailing flames envelop the giant spiders, incinerating them instantly in a display of raw power. Within seconds, the corpses are reduced to ash, and the flames, having consumed everything, carry the energy back to the now distant Hei Ming. The 5 students are left standing there, completely stunned and unsure of what just happened. Meanwhile, the top-tier young woman leaps high into the air, commanding a thunder dragon to crash down upon the monsters below. As the lightning explodes, the monsters are utterly annihilated. The girl looks on, clearly wanting more, as she watches the ranking board. My sister is acting up again, Luo Lan sighs, looking quite helpless. She knew they shouldn't have let her serve in this state. The burden of that 7th-tier skill, Red Hot Comrade, is simply too heavy. We recognize them as the Girl and Shadow duo from the first day. Originally, her sister Luo Hongying was just a bit fond of battle, but now it's become a full-blown obsession. Thinking of this, Luo Lan can't help but worry if her sister will become a violent woman in the future. As her thoughts wander, a sudden Heart-stopping aura accompanied by a wave of heat washes over them. Before she can even react, she sees Luo Hongying's expression turn solemn as she steps forward. With a fiery gaze, her violent lightning instantly surges around her long spear. Staring at the charging flame wolf, the mere sight of those massive, barrel-like eyes makes her mind tremble. And yet, the corners of Luo Hongying's mouth curl upward, a look of madness appearing on her beautiful face. Now this is interesting, she says. Watching her fearless sister charge straight ahead, Luo Lan expertly casts a protective barrier over her. With this added support, Luo Hongying's combat power instantly doubles. She was already capable of fighting above her level, and now even more so. A thunder dragon over 10 meters long erupts from her spear as the two forces collide with a deafening crash. But He Ming remains completely unscathed. The fighting spirit in Luo Hongying's eyes vanishes, replaced by pure, utter disbelief. That strike had the power of a third advancement. How could this black wolf be entirely unaffected? To be honest, she's right to be shocked. He Ming looks down coldly at this person who attacked him for no reason, and his massive claw instantly swings out with a crack. Under that terrifying strength, 3 layers of defensive barriers shatter instantly, startling Luo Hongying into quickly raising her spear to block. Even so, her figure is sent flying, crashing into the ground dozens of meters away. Luo lands. Expression changes drastically as she focuses her will, calling upon her hidden strength. Her SS rank talent, Angel's Grace, manifests as 3 pairs of white wings, and a golden light shield rises to envelop them both. Luo Lan feels her mental energy draining away like water through a massive hole, and she tries to speak. Before she can finish, the charging He Ming has already raised his paw and torn the golden barrier to shreds. He looks on coldly. He gives the two of them a passing glance before slowly walking away. Luo Lan is left staring in a daze at this sight, and as Luo Hongying struggles to her feet, she is equally stunned. Outside the dungeon, a heavy silence falls over the crowd. Every mentor, the dean, and the senior students watching are utterly speechless. Seeing Ji Fei's smug expression, Zhang Wuyue feels a profound sense of shock. This level of power has clearly surpassed the limits of a second advancement. After all, the Luo twins both possess SS rank talents and hidden classes, making them the top geniuses in the entire building. Yet, they were so easily suppressed by Chun Tianqing's summon, He Ming. Over the next 10 hours, the Black Wolf doesn't stop for a single moment, tearing through the canyon and slaying over 10,000 monsters. He even takes down several Tier 3 bosses. His body has grown by 33 meters, and his attributes have increased by 27 points. However, the further he progresses, the more energy he requires to grow. Once he reaches 300, every point gain will be far more impactful than before. At this moment, Chun Tianqing isn't dissatisfied. After all, this is the harvest of just half a day, which is still quite terrifying. It's simply slower compared to the initial burst, but progress always becomes harder the further one goes. No one is an exception. Just then, Luo Xian says with excitement, "Brother Chun, we've jumped 6 levels. This is the first time he's experienced leveling up with such ease." Luo Ning is also clearly happy, her gray eyes showing emotions other than her usual tension and fear. Chun Tianqing smiles as he checks the recorder. Their points have already reached 34,000. Not far away, He Ming lies on the ground. He has been killing in a continuous loop for 10 hours of high-intensity combat. He is utterly exhausted. If not for his high constitution, he wouldn't have been able to withstand the massive burden of his giant form. Luo Xian looks at He Ming and feels it's a bit cruel, asking if he's alright. Chun Tianqing simply shakes his head and casts a recovery spell. Soon, the dungeon time limit expires, and a white light envelopes them, teleporting them back to Skylark Square. Countless amazed and burning gazes instantly lock onto them. Then, the dean's secretary shouts from the platform, "Alright, I shall now announce the rankings." In first place with 34,000 points, Chun Tianqing. 34,000 points. Hearing this, every student is left in a state of total shock, especially since the gap below them is a literal cliff. The drop is staggering. Second place is Feng Yi, with a mere 13,000 points. "This is impossible," the cold young man mutters in disbelief. He wonders if there is a problem with the leaderboard, and he isn't alone. Many around him find the results utterly bizarre and incomprehensible. It's one thing for Chun Tianqing's score to be absurdly high, but why are the others, including the 2 strongest geniuses, so incredibly low? Sensing the growing confusion among the crowd, the secretary decides to offer a bit of clarity. It turns out that because of Chun Tianqing's summon, many students who tried to block its path were swatted into serious injuries, wasting far too much time. This delay caused the massive disparity in scores. Suddenly, everyone's gaze shifts back to Chun in awe, realizing the impact He Ming truly had. Since He Ming had essentially cleared the entire canyon, most students had encountered him. However, far from blocking him, most didn't even dare to move. Only a few top geniuses, confident in their own strength, chose to try and stop this pseudo-boss. A bold choice, though perhaps not a very wise one. Unsurprisingly, they were all flattened by a single claw. Nearby, a dozen students are gnashing their teeth as they glare at Chun, for they were the victims. Feng Ye's face is a mask of frustration because he, too, harbors deep doubts about these rankings. To be honest, there are at least 3 people stronger than him. In any normal year, it never would have been his turn to take second place. At this moment, Feng Yi suspects that everyone else was simply held back. Thinking of this possibility, he feels a cold shiver run down his spine. Meanwhile, hearing the secretary's explanation, Luo Hongying stares at Chun without hiding her intensity. Beside her, Luo Lan quickly tries to calm her sister down, reminding her that they were the ones who acted without understanding the situation first. She tells her sister they can't blame him for their own mistake. I know, Luo Hongying says with a nod, finally withdrawing her piercing gaze. Seeing this, Luo Lan breathes a sigh of relief. She has no desire to start a feud with such a person over a simple misunderstanding. The sight of that wolf's claw shredding her guardian angel phantom had left an indelible shadow in her heart, which tells you everything you need to know. On the platform, the secretary speaks again, announcing that the freshman competition has officially ended and the rankings are now final. These rankings will determine their class assignments tomorrow. With the group dismissed, we follow Chun back to his dormitory, only to find a surprise. The second batch of supplies has already arrived, and, in a twist of irony, they were delivered by that same cold young man, Li Zhongfeng. This delivery indirectly shows that Li Zhongfeng has softened his stance. Chen smiles and thanks him before heading inside to open the crates. This time, the rare materials are clearly more abundant than before. It seems the Academy has provided everything they could possibly spare. Since he has chosen to be a frontline summoner, he must rely on a massive pile of resources to strengthen himself. 10 minutes later, the metal stones are completely fused into his armor, reaching a level of hardness that even a third-turn professional couldn't hope to break. The weight has increased to 30 units, yet he feels absolutely nothing while wearing it. At the same time, its sharpness trait receives yet another significant upgrade. Just then, his phone buzzes with a notification. His 50,000 credit reward for first place has arrived. He immediately decides to invest in He Ming, purchasing dozens of fruit-based resources. Not long after, the supplies are delivered to his door. After He Ming finishes absorbing them, his normal size reaches 40 meters. To be honest, that is already quite a staggering sight. In his giant state, he is even more terrifying than before, and his life essence has officially reached the level of an ultimate summon. The benefit is that all future attribute gains from leveling up will be doubled. The next morning, Chen finishes washing up and heads out. His 3 roommates are already waiting downstairs. Since they have all been assigned to Class 1, they prepare to head to class together. On the way, Luo Xian and Luo Ning join them, as they were also assigned to the same class. A perfectly convenient arrangement, really. The dormitory isn't far from the lecture hall. Once inside, Chen chooses a seat by the window, and soon, we see 2 very familiar faces. A pair of stunning twins walk through the door, instantly drawing the gaze of every student in the room as they scan the crowd. After a brief moment, Luo Hongying led her sister straight to the front row. As Maple Leaf watched this happen, her eyes were suddenly filled with a deep, unmistakable sense of envy.